Hey everyone, this video is going to be a little bit longer than I usually like to do, but I, I felt that it was necessary just to kind of walk you through the process of making selections and using them for your own work. So for a lot of you, this is going to be the first time you've ever opened Photoshop, so please take the time to do that. Then once you are ready and you have Photoshop open, you are going to go down to File and you're going to go to Open, and you are going to find the photo that you should have downloaded already. Okay, and again, mine might look a little different than yours because I'm working on a Mac and not a PC, but you should still be able to go to File and then Open. I'm finding my download folder here, and I'm using a photo from a student in one of my classes, and I chose this one because one, he's wearing black against a black background, so this would be like the toughest situation, so I wanted you to see how I would walk through it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Open, and first thing I do is I'm going to have to make a selection, okay? So in order to do that, I'm going to go, this is my toolbar over here. And when we get into Photoshop, I'll be going over all the details of this stuff. But for now, this is our toolbar. And we can look at this a number of ways, okay? So yours might look like this. It could also be doubled up in this way. So I want to find the quick selection tool. So if I hover over any tool, it will show me what the shortcut is for it. So it's W. And these little tiny arrows that are on the kind of the bottom of the button to the bottom right, that tells me that there are multiple tools in there, right? So you might be on any one of these if you press W. So make sure you choose the quick selection tool, not any of these other two choices. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure that my brush size is fairly small. And in order to do that, again, I'm a fan of using shortcut keys as often as possible. So everybody take a look at your keyboard, find the letter P on your keyboard, and then to the right of that you should see two bracket keys. The right bracket will make your brush size larger, and the left bracket will make your brush size smaller. So get in the habit of, while you're using your mouse, you also have your left hand on your keyboard, so that way you can adjust as necessary. So I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to put it right in the middle of his face, and I'm just going to start by clicking and dragging down. And what you'll see is that we call these marching ants. Anything inside of that is basically a selection, okay? And that means it's something that I can work with. Now I want to select all of him, and this is going to be tricky because what it's doing is it's looking for similar pixels. Now, because of his black shirt against the black background, we are going to have to make some adjustments. Also, you're going to notice that there are things that might get selected that I don't necessarily want to get selected. So I'm just kind of coming around and just clicking. And I'm not always clicking and dragging. Sometimes I'm just clicking. In this area, I'm going to go kind of slow because, as you see, if I go too fast, this is what happens. It ends up selecting too much all at once. So to back up a step, I'm just pressing Control Z. If you happen to be on a Mac, which most of you probably would not be, but it would be Command Z, okay? So I just adjusted my brush size, and now I'm coming back in and trying to see if I can get more, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. So I'm going to I'm hitting Control Z again just to kind of back up. So this black shirt is giving me a lot of trouble, okay? I'm going to see if I can get some of his hair. Nope. Okay, so if this is as far as I can go, here's what I do next. Is I'm going to, again, look at my keyboard, and I'm going to press a button. I'm going to press the Q, and that's going to put me in something called Quick Mask Mode. Now it's going to change everything. So it turns everything that I don't want red, and everything I do want stays the same. So this is where I'm going to go to my toolbar. And as I'm doing this, you guys, please pause, rewind. This is why I make these videos. That way you can really work at your own pace. All right, the tool I just grabbed is my brush tool. Now, sometimes it can be tricky because there's the history brush tool right below it. I do not want that. That is not what I'm looking for. So the brush tool is right above it. The shortcut is the letter B. It'll take you directly to it. Again, there are other tools sometimes that will pop up. You want the brush tool. This up here is what we call an option bar. This is how you customize your tools. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to set the hardness kind of like right in between. And what this does is it tells you how soft the brush is, and you kind of can see the difference here. Like this would be a really soft brush and this would be a very hard brush. Okay, it's the difference between like a Sharpie marker versus an airbrush. So we're going to go right in between that. And then all this other stuff we're just going to leave alone. And I'm just going to click over here to kind of get out of that little menu. And again, I can use my bracket keys to adjust my size. Now check this out. Here are my two colors whenever I'm working in a quick mask. I have black and then I have white. Right now, the little white box around black means I'm working with black. Everywhere I paint, it's actually going to put more red down, which is taking away from what's called my selection. I'm going to swap these two and I'm going to come in and now I can paint with white. Okay, now painting like this with a very tiny brush would take me forever. So I'm going to use a larger brush, kind of block in where I think his arm would be, right? And his shirt and all that. And then I'll come back in and fine tune it in just a minute. Okay, so shoulders, arm, all of that. Shoulder might not drop down quite so low. Okay, so it looks like I did get some of the background, so I kind of over exaggerated, which to me, like, that's absolutely fine. That's how I'd want to do it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap back to black. I'm going to use a much smaller brush, and this time I'm going to be putting that red down so I can kind of come in and just really clean this up, okay? And I'm going to spend some time doing this. So again, if you want to fast forward this part, you absolutely can. But I just wanted to show you the process that this takes in order to get a nice clean selection, okay? So I'm going around and just making sure that I don't miss anything. I also don't want to have, you know, a strong black outline around him too bad, especially because I'm going to be putting this against a white background in the very near future. Okay, I'm going to switch back to white for just a minute. Kind of make sure that everything is good and I'm getting what I want. I'm going to switch back to black. As you can see, I go back and forth quite a bit. Okay, so a lot of this, it's so close in the same color that I can almost not, if I can't tell, again, I'm just kind of making a guess. Now up here in his hair, just so it doesn't look totally silly, I'm going to kind of grab, oops, let's swap back to black. But I'm going to come in and just kind of make it kind of go around a little bit so that way it doesn't look quite so cut out and helmety. Right? And again, you can swap back and forth between colors. I do need to get rid of that, so let's switch back to black. And I'm going to make sure, because I want him completely cut out. I really don't want to see the background at all. And I like this really small brush because it lets me get kind of just the outline really down, and then I might switch to a larger brush once I have that. Okay, again, if you can set up your computer this way, you should be working right alongside of me as I'm doing this, so you can kind of see, you know, as I'm going through the process, you're going through the process too. Okay. And then if I ever just want to see what it kind of looked like, I can press Q again. That's how I'm going to get into this like red business and then back out of it. So I'm pressing Q. So I can kind of see, like, if I look around, everything looks pretty decent all around in here, but his hair kind of got a little cut off. So I might just go back in, grab that white and just kind of like add a little bit more of that if I wanted to. Again, you know, totally up to you and how much you want to do. I think that's pretty decent. I might just like that. There we go. Okay, so now I have this completely cut out, and it's, you know, you've done the best you can, so great. That basically means now I can move this somewhere else. So we're going to go to File. We're going to go down to New, and I'm creating a brand new document now. I'm going to set it up. If you want to call it something, maybe you want to call it Portrait Zentangle table because that's what this is going to be for. But the width is going to be 8.5 inches. Make sure this has to say inches, okay? 11 is your height, and keep your orientation over on here on the left, okay? So this is like portrait mode versus landscape mode. You want the portrait one. The resolution should say 150, okay? That's as high of a resolution as our printers can print to, so there's no sense in going any higher than that. Everything else, just let it be, okay? I'm going to click on create, and now I have this white piece of paper. Up here at the top, you'll see that you have tabs, so you can easily go back and forth between the two different things you're working on. So I'll go to this, and now I want to move him to this new document that I just created. There is one tool on here that is used for moving, and that is this one. Okay, we call it our move tool. The shortcut is the letter V. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, and you'll notice that as soon as I get within the selection that I made, it looks like an arrow with a pair of scissors, which is great because I'm going to cut him out. I'm going to take him up to here, and I'm just going to hover my mouse. And what's going to happen is it's going to open up that document, and I can just bring him right in and drop him off. Okay. Now he's way bigger than I, would want him to be. So I have to adjust the size of that. So I'm going to go in here to edit. This is the menu bar up here. I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go down to where it says free transform. Again, I do want you guys to start paying attention to these little shortcuts right here. So free transform. Now, what you'll end up with is a bounding box, okay? So you'll end up with a bounding box. Now, it's larger than the screen. So what I got to do is I need to zoom out. So again, and I apologize for all these shortcuts so early on, control and the minus key. I'm going to press those until I get to a workable size. Now, if you want to make sure you're adjusting him to proportion. If he's getting all weird and wonky like this, or you're getting all weird like this, you don't want that, okay? So, and this is going to depend on our current version because it kind of changes. Sometimes if you hold shift, right, it'll do this. It'll not do proportion. I believe on the version that we have, you need to press shift to scale it. Okay, so hold that shift key down the entire time and only grab from one of these outer corners. Okay, do not grab from here, any of the middle points. Okay, and then what you'll do is you'll just holding shift, you'll shrink it down. You want to kind of fill the space as best you can depending on the pose you are in, and then you can put yourself middle, left, right, side, whatever. To me, on this one, I would put it over the right, so that way I would have plenty of drawing space over here on the left. Again, do what you want to do, but kind of have some insight as to, your final design and plan. When you have yourself how you like it, you'll hit this check mark up here at the very, very top. Okay. And then you are ready to print. At this point, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to show you how to print during class. Okay, so these videos, and I apologize for the length of this one, but please rewind, watch the parts you need to again. But what you really want is want to have a nice clean cutout of yourself against this white background. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I will, please let me know if you have any questions.